Thank you for the tepid applause. I know, I'm just a TV actor. But how about that movie, right? Isn't it amazing? You know, it's so interesting. I saw the trailer, I saw the poster, I was like, oh, I love Alexander Payne, these are great actors. Looks pretty good, and then I was just so moved and blown away. I was choking up, I was laughing and bawling and crying, and I'm so thrilled to have a conversation with Davine Joy Randolph. Bring her out, the star of the movie, Oscar nominee.
Thank you for coming. It's so nice of you.
Thanks for coming out on this blustery winter night. I was shivering. It was like 67 outside.
I woke up before today.
So my first question really is, did Paul Giamatti do his own farts?
I was very proud of that.
Okay.
Yeah. In between takes, he would do it too, you know, to like figure out what was the right sound, the roundness, you know?
Right.
And
It can't be too silent but deadly. You've got to have a little bit of audible on that.
Yeah, especially when filming.
Was there an intimacy consultant, like a fart consultant?
100%.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Because it was just, you know,
You gotta feel safe.
yeah, especially when you're like in a two-for intimate scene.
Yeah.
It's provocative. It's very provocative.
We kid, we have fun. We're all actors here, right? We have fun.
Yeah.
But really, I don't want to be terribly silly because I just want to say that your performance was exquisite. How did you come into this role? Part one. Part two, you read the script. How does it hit you? How does it work on your inner machinery? And then part three, how do you start preparing for the role?
So I don't have like an amazing like how I got the job story. Well, it's not like epic. He just called me, and I didn't know of. I'll be honest, because I've said this early on in press, and people are like, "Are you a barbarian? You don't know who Alexander Payne is." I don't. You know how when you're getting off book for things, and so your brain only uses certain information and the others it discards. I'm bad. I'm like, I know you, but I might not remember your name. So
I was on The Office.
I know you very well.
Oh, really? Oh, stop. It's about her. Stop.
No. We must give you your flowers. Stunning. Provocative.
So you vaguely knew who he was.
So I knew of his work. I didn't know that face went with those movies, right? And so he called me up and he was like, "Listen, I saw Dolomite. I thought you were great in it. I thought it was."
Yes, you were great.
Thank you. And he was like, "There's something about that I think this could work." So he gave me the script. This was like the week before Thanksgiving. He was like, "Read it over Thanksgiving, see how you feel, let me know." To answer part two, read it, and I was like, whoa, this, you guys know, oftentimes we get mediocre scripts at best. For a very long time, I used to think, honestly, that the 1%ers, the A-listers, those are the ones that got the good scripts, right? And that the majority of us got the scripts, and that it was then our job, right, to fill in the blanks. And so a lot of my career I've been...
No, but what an actor sometimes is hired to do is the script is average, maybe a little above average. It's up to you to try and make it, amp it up and make it better.
We were literally signed on the bottom line on, we'll work on it, and we're like, yes, I want to work, you know what I mean? Of course I'll sign my life away to this creative process that I have no idea what we're going to do. And that wasn't this. It was so beautifully written, thought out, multi-layered. Give kudos to a man writing for a female perspective, and he is a white male writing for my character. And I was just like really impressed at the detail. And then there was something that really stood out to me, two things. Number one, the authenticity of who she was. And I was like, how does this man, I inherently know who this woman is due to how I've grown up and women that I've known in my life. How does this man know this? The beautiful thing is I think it is, we're just human beings. And it actually doesn't have anything to do with race at all. That he just intimately knows in some ways what it means to be a woman. So that let me know, oh, this man loves his mother. And that made me then feel very comforted that I was like, oh, they're gonna take good care of me and helping me make this come to life. And so the other thing that really stood out to me was, and I never really seen this before in a script before, so normally we have like that little part in between scenes that's like, it's a dark room full of people, and then the dialogue starts. There would be chunks in the script where it was like 3 to 5 pages of just detail, almost like a novel, but almost like a romance novel, like the good cheap ones. Not in any way that this script was a good cheap romance novel, but I'm saying in the sense of like how they pump in the detail and then it's the green veranda and the da-da-da. There was so much detail, and I was like, oh, those are interesting. I wonder why they wrote that. And those were the silent moments that you saw for this character. And I was like, oh, it was so intriguing to me. We had no idea how we were gonna shoot it, and it would have all this beautiful detail, and then it'd be like, she's at the table playing chess by herself. And so I was like, oh wow, this is different. I'm not gonna have to come with my entire toolbox to work, and I'm really excited about that.
How did you tackle the grief that she carries with her throughout the film? And that, I always hate this question when people ask me this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Did it affect you during the filming to kind of be carrying that much grief, for the 4 or 6 week shoot, whatever it was?
Right, so we were filming in Boston from January to March. Depressing. Boom, got it. Perfect. We're already at a good start. Right? No, but
Plus Boston. I mean,
well, there might be some Bostonians in
I
there.
don't care.
Okay, but like that fresh news. Did the sound system just improve?
You just got really loud.
Whoa, should I back it up? Is that better? Okay. In my ears, it got really loud. What was I saying? Oh, so like that fresh new snow, the first weeks of just starting to get snow, it's like deafeningly quiet. Like it's so quiet, it's loud. So that was a great thing for me. But no, really, I knew that reading this character and reading the script, I knew that this character was going to be a vessel for people to connect to. This whole movie is a very humanistic film, but I knew that she was going to be a vessel to reach the viewer in a way more directly than I would say the other characters. And so I then knew and hoped that there would be some healing going on. And so I made a decision that I wanted to showcase all the stages of grief. From start to finish, I wanted to demonstrate that so that, especially because this is being kind of coined as a holiday movie, if there was people that were watching it during the holidays or wanted to, sentimentally watch it, if they were going through something, no matter what stage of grief that they were going through, there would be some part in that movie that they could connect to. I didn't want to just do like denial and anger. And then what if somebody's like, confusion? I don't think that's a step, but you know what I mean? Like, then they're like, oh, well, I can't relate. That was important to me. So, and in my research, what I found, and even in doing it was, I don't know where that 7 stages of grief comes from. Maybe it's 8, I don't know, but it doesn't happen in order. I don't know where that order came from. And sometimes it's 2 and 3 happening at the same time. Or you can feel like you're getting, at a good place, and then you reset and go back. And so I just would go through scene by scene and be like, okay, in this moment, where are the things that she's residing? Where are the places that she's residing in her grief? Then with that being said, knowing that I was willing to take that on, I was very silly on set. Yeah, I had to.
No way.
Yeah, because I'm going to go home to snow. I knew that I was like, I cannot do this whole thing for 3 months just depressed and grieving in a haunted apartment. You know what I mean? So, it was haunted. I no, truly, very silly giggles and jokes and, in between takes. But also, I needed to do it because I knew that if I stayed in that space of grief, I wouldn't be able to give you what I gave, because it's almost like a balloon and you're slowly seeping the air out. Half of the performance is in the hair and makeup trailer. Half of the performance is, at Crafty trying to get crackers. I knew that I was like, no, just be happy, do all of that, so that when we need to tap into it, now we have the, full reserve.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Well, first of all, I'm fascinated. You started as a singer.
Yeah.
So you were a singer, performance singing studies at Temple University.
Yeah.
What kind of singing did you do?
I'm a classically trained opera singer.
Okay.
But I did it off of a dare, because I'm very competitive. And so this girl, she came from Canada, and she came to my performing arts school, and she was like, I went to Interlaken. And I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'm going. But when I got there, it was like a classically trained program. Everything was the classics. So I was like, whoops. And so I was very against it. And then the voice teacher that I had at the time, she was like, well, listen, if you're an opera singer, you have to travel the world and eat amazing food and wear gorgeous gowns. You work half of the year, men will dote on you, throw gifts at you, fur coats, flowers. I was like, I'm in. And so I did it for the perks. Yeah, so that's how I started.
We want to hear a little right now.
Do you hear what I sound like right now? I'm hoarse. Fatigue, not sleeping.
Oh. It must be so hard to get an Oscar nomination.
No. I promise. I wouldn't sing for you in real life, live right now. But no, I am hoarse.
Going back to the film, one thing I was curious about, the period.
Yes.
1971.
Yeah. So it's the winter of 1969.
Okay.
Obviously, New Year's happens through the course of the movie. So then, bloop, we're in 1970.
Right. And did preparing the role and being in the period affect you in a way? Did that affect your thought process, or how you're going to tackle the character in a way that you would tackle it differently if you were playing it more contemporary?
So, yes and no. I didn't want to play at being in the 70s. Does that make sense? And from Dolomite, what I found was, let everybody else do their job to make the world be 70s. You just be. And then with this one in particular, it was more so who she was than that it was 70s that really curtailed my performance. So, an Advent smoker, puff, 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 puff. The dialect, that was a huge thing that helped me transport myself. Her pacing. The idea of not only with grief, but that she's older than I am. That it's she's very pragmatic and slower in delivery with what she's saying. So that much slower pace already made me feel out of time, out of my present self, because I talk really fast in real life. Even right now, I'm trying to make sure I'm not talking too fast. But no, that helped. The smoking, certain things in the clothing, the hair. I based the hair off of like different people in my life slash people back in the day, like the character of Wheezy in the Jeffersons. In the first season, because you know the theme song is they're moving on up. So what I thought that Norman Lear, rest in peace, did, he allowed to show in her the progression of new money. So that first season, she still she doesn't have that iconic, beautiful, like pressed out fro that's so elegant. She has this really cute, like innocent blue collar, this cute bun. And I was like, I love that bun. Let's let that be her work hair. Or for the Christmas party, it's based off of a look from Phyllis Hyman, the singer, on her album cover. I was like, I love it. It was during the 70s, that year, 1970. I was like, I love that. So those kind of things I input it. And then whenever I'm doing a period piece, you're a guy, but maybe this will affect you. Undergarments. Undergarments and shoes. I'm telling you it helps because it makes you feel uncomfortable. I'm just gonna be honest. When I did Billie Holiday, we had these 1940, 1950 bras, and they're like cones, and you're shoving your boobie in there, and it's just, it's so uncomfortable, but it's so the period. Or I always wore stockings. I don't wear stockings in real life, so like just the idea of like constantly pulling them up, and those kind of things. I like to put myself in the circumstance to secret, like it just helps me. It helps me a lot. I learned that from Ruth Carter too, that especially with wardrobe, that she was like, give yourself what you need for the character. Why are you gonna imagine that you're in the hosiery? Ask the people for some tights, you know what I mean? Like, and so you know, damn, I have a run in it. And then I would be like, no, I don't wanna change my tights. Give me some clear nail polish so then I can feel what it feels like for it to be like kind of stuck on your leg. Like all that kind of stuff was just really helpful. Or that I wore these like little orthopedic nurse shoes. They were like, what the hell, you can wear loafers? I said, no, I want those shoes because that like put me there. I wanted a cardigan. Or those glasses, my grandmother had glasses like that. So I showed it to the prop person. Amazing. One of the best prop designs I've ever. I mean, I would open up a drawer. You guys never saw it. Full of stuff that no one ever saw. That stuff is so food for fodder. You know what I mean? It's a sensory overload. And so I showed them a picture of my grandmother's glasses, and they were like, got it, I'll get it for you in 2 weeks. And they did, and it was like exactly what I needed. And every time I put on the glasses with a little chain, and then I would do like, sometimes when you do dialects, there's like key phrases. So I would have like a little sentence of like, Mr. Hannam, da, 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 right before they would say action, and that would help me like, you know, okay, we're in it. Like, let me get out of my contemporary body and mind. We're in it.
You know, there's so much I love about this film, and it does, like I said, when it first came out, like it sneaks up on you. I was talking to my friend backstage, like the party scene is one of my favorite scenes. And I love how it went through all three characters of the party scene. But one of the things that was so ingenious about the screenplay, I really don't know much about the writer himself, but the fact that there's like a mini romance with each character that fails in a certain way, and in the hands of a lesser writer, a writer might feel an obligation like, I need to bring the kid back with the girl that he made out with, or I need to like have her, you know, hook up, or I need to have him find love or something like that. But it's all of these kind of beautiful missed connections. I thought that was really exquisite, and that shot of Paul Giamatti, you know, when he's kind of flirting and talking to the woman whose house it's at, and then she goes behind his head and someone comes with flowers, and he just catches a little bit out of the corner of his eye, and then he just has that beautiful understated moment. But your work was stunning in that scene, and you by the record player breaking down in the kitchen. How did you work on that scene. Can you just talk us through it a little bit? I mean, it's a wonderful bounty to have just seen the movie with the folks here. So
Right.
they've just seen it. You know, there's kind of a beginning, middle, and end,
Yeah.
and then the resolution coming down the driveway. But just talk us through that.
Well, one thing really quick, and thank you. One thing that was interesting, Alexander in the beginning really wanted me to have like a little thing, and I was like, ain't no way in fuck. This lady is grieving on like this, and she thinking about trying to date some man. And so he was like, okay, cool. What if we then make that be an annoyance for her that'll end up being like really endearing, and when the time comes, he is there for her. So I was like, okay, let's do that.
Yeah, that's gorgeous.
I
Chef's
love-
kiss. I mean,
No,
he
that's-
brings the present, and he wants to hug you, kind of shy away. It's just a little, but so subtle, you know.
Or my
And-
favorite is at New Year's, and she conveniently goes and grabs the champagne in time to like, ugh, sneak out of that hug from him, or he like grabs her at the last minute. She's like, oh god. But no, so the Christmas party, we were renting that house. So the beautiful, first of all, there was no sets, meaning we weren't going into a studio warehouse. Everything was on location.
No soundstage.
No soundstage. No, thank you. Not technically a set. No soundstage. All natural light. Everything. So being that we were renting that house, we actually, which was a gift, because you know we don't always get to do this, we filmed it in sequential order.
Wow.
And I think we filmed it for a total of like, that whole thing I think maybe took like about 3 days, maybe 4 days to get everything. And so we started where we're pulling up, we get to the place, you know, all that stuff. And then we broke off to do the scene, and it was challenging because for me, I felt like the whole movie, I feel like I was constantly testing and tuning the dials of her emotional life. Because what I wanted to...
So did you sorry to butt in.
No.
Does that mean that in different takes, like some you were sobbing and some you held it in and you were giving the director?
The only time that happened was the moment at the sink. And it's funny because I was like, yeah, Alexander, you gotta give her, she's gotta release something. I'm suffocating inside. He's like, good, because she is too. And I was like, well, can she just release once? And so he thought about it and he was like, if we do it, I guess where it would make the most sense is when she goes into the kitchen. And I was like, yes. And so, being the dutiful actor that I am, baby, that first take, I literally, when he said cut, I was in a reverse piata in Dominic's arms, sprawled out, crying, weeping. And I was like, this is the best performance of my life. And he was like, that's wonderful. We got that. So now, let's try something else. And so that was the take you saw. We only did that in 2 takes. But I think, when it's heavy like that, you don't want to do a lot of takes. People don't want to see a lot of that at the same time. So it was kind of like, it was our last day and I knew I don't want to hold anybody up with this, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna do it. But what was beautiful is in the script, it's not much written out for that. So it was great because it felt like theater. Like we really were like, okay, this is the space. The table's here. Okay, Devine, how do you want to start it? And I was like, I want to look like I just possibly committed a crime. And I want you to see my back breathing and moving up and down. And I want it to be where people are like, ugh. The moment of the first shot, I wanted the first shot to be of you on my back. I didn't want you to see my face. And that me over top of the kitchen sink, I wanted you to feel it from my back. And so they were like, okay, cool. So how are we gonna get you around? And so we kind of like workshopped it and like just kind of played around with it. We was filming, like the camera was on, but we were kind of like finding our way with it, which was so nice because sometimes when you have those big scenes, they're super, like, directed heavily to the point where you're kind of like, okay, well, this is what they've already have mapped out in their mind. And I thought for sure Alexander, he's a genius. I thought for sure that's what he was going to do. That was the one that he had the least, I don't want to say prepared, but he was the most loose with, which was such a generous gift because we were all able to figure it out together.
But it sounds like, mad respect, he's such a revered director that you kind of fought for what you wanted and
it wasn't even a fight, honestly. It was a true, what I love about this man, and you're right, he has done so much, and yet he was so collaborative and a champion for us, and he literally basically taught Dominic how to act. Like, we literally would just, it was so
that was his first movie.
The boy is in high school. He's now graduated. We literally were filming in one of his schools, and he was like, Divine, do you see that report on the wall, like on the display board? I was like, yeah. He's like, you see that it says an A+? I was like, yeah. He's like, that's mine. I did it last week. And I was like, like a happy little mom. Like, the boy was in school.
He did an exceptional job. I was
phenomenal.
I was so struck by, usually a first-time actor might be good at one thing or this thing, and they have a certain innate quality that works for them or something like that, but when it came to the emotional scenes, he had the goods.
Yeah.
He had stuff, shit going on in there, and it was real. It was
and
really...
what was beautiful too, I will say, in this movie, I don't know if this shows or not, we had the luxury of time. Meaning, we were never rushed. We didn't do a lot of takes per scenes. It was a lot of long shots. We almost would do like an entire full scene in one shot, not really, intercutting much. But we had the luxury of time. And I don't know if everyone knows this about Alexander Payne. There is no video village. There's no monitors. And if the camera's here, he's seated right here. So what was beautiful, it freaked me out in the very beginning because I was like, go. And I was like, Paul, is this a thing? And he was like, yeah. And at first it freaked me out. And then later in the first day, I was like, oh, this is nice. Because he would be like, action. Like, it wasn't like, action, you know what I mean? Like, aggressive. Or, we would do a take and he would like let it last a little too long. And then be like, are you thirsty? And I'm like, I think I am. And I would like just go in the back and get, like when we did a newlywed scene, like watching a TV show, he would be, I remember that one in particular, it was such a small space and so intimate. And he was like, are you thirsty? And I was like, I'm gonna go make some tea. And I would just get up, go in the back, make some tea, come back. It wasn't, I need you to get up, go to the back, get the tea, come down, put it down, grab a cigarette, light it, and then say your line. It just was, are you thirsty? Yes, I am. And my body and the character being in that moment naturally did what it needed to do. I've never been directed like that ever. That man is a genius.
Wow.
I feel like you have directing in your future. Directing the way you speak about scenes and crafting them and images. Like when you were talking about your back, I was like, oh, she's kind of a natural director. You ever
Oh, that's
consider
so
that?
interesting. I watch a lot of old movies. I don't watch a lot of contemporary stuff. Gives me anxiety because I know the people. You know what I mean? Where you're like, why do they have my friend in that wig? You know what I mean? Like, she looks crazy. And so my analytical mind. I don't know about you guys, but like, it's hard for me to watch stuff because I'm like, I see too much and I can't just enjoy it. So I watch a lot of old movies.
With people that are dead.
Yeah. I love dead people, and I watch a lot of old movies, and there's just something about, I don't know, to me, it's a little more obvious or dramatic or poetic, the direction and the sequences and stuff like that I can see it more poignantly than in contemporary stuff. So like I probably stole the kitchen thing from like, I don't know, Betty Davis doing it in something, you know what I mean? Or like Sunset Boulevard of her whipping around and being, you know. But I did learn how to smoke because of Betty Davis. I watched a lot of her stuff to see how, because that's tricky. Have you ever had to smoke?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
While filming though?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, is it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky, right?
It's crazy tricky, yes.
You know how they say, like, don't put a kid or an animal on stage with you because they'll upstage you? They need to add cigarettes to the list. It is a whole science of knowing the rhythm of it, when to, you know, pull, drag, light. You don't want to do it at the same time necessarily as the other person, but then you don't want it to be so rhythmically where it's like, oh, so you talk, then you puff.
Right.
It's a whole thing. I eventually had to switch from the fake ones to the real ones, just because
The fake ones will screw you up. I think even worse.
they're horrible. They're flimsy. There's no shape to them. They burn way too fast. When you like drag it, there's huge plumes of smoke that completely cover your face. So I just I like bought one pack, and then I told the prop guy, I was like, listen, I'm gonna put some loosies in here. Don't tell anybody, because I knew it was gonna be a whole thing if I was like, I'm gonna start smoking now. They would get all up
We
in
need to
arms.
have a safety meeting
Exactly.
and alert the studio.
Put that shit in there and let's say action. So yeah, I don't know about directing. I don't know, because I trained for acting, the idea of an apprenticeship and training is very near and dear to my heart. So I would never just be like, no, I'm a director. I would really for myself have to put in hours. But I do love, if anything, I love working with other actors. Like if I could see myself possibly like coaching or something, because I really love working with other actors and like seeing their process, and I love helping my friends with like their audition tapes. So if ever you have an audition, DM me.
I got one tomorrow. Can you help me out?
Send me a DM, I'll help you.
You know what? Actually, I never get auditions anymore. So, you're here with a bunch of SAG actors.
Yeah.
And some other unions that no one cares about. Do you have any advice? It's a tough one. It's a giant softball question, but I know that you'll answer it brilliantly. But advice, thoughts for people just starting out, making their way in this crazy town at this crazy time, in this crazy business. Any thoughts for our fellow union members?
I will say this, and I'll be really, really honest with you. So yesterday, I got this nomination.
Woo!
And I'm still working on getting my team to get me the right scripts. I'm not saying this to slight my agency. I'm saying this to be really honest with you, to let you know it never stops. So, you have to love this so much, that you're willing to endure it all. Because what did you say, like, oh, just because I booked, now all my worries are gone, you know what I mean? And like, everything's solved. You know how they say, new money, new problems? New gigs, new problems. Truly, it will never stop. So really do it because you love it. And I would say, if it's something, they said it in Sister Act 2, but it's something that really resonated with me. When Whoopi was like, if you wake up in the morning...
Wait.
No,
Are you quoting Sister Act 2?
I am. And if you know that movie well, you know what I'm about to say. She's like, if you wake up in the morning and all you thinking about singing, then girl, you a sick. Same thing. If you wake up in the morning, I'm gonna get cooked up. If you wake up in the morning and that's what you think about, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Divine Joy Randolph.